But joining us tonight first is Minnesota Republican Congressman Michelle Bachmann. First of all, is this like every single 31 of 47, Hillary, Secretary of State, but now we got Eric Holder here. Now we got the Mark Rich pardon. Now we got every Clinton scandal coming into play. Is it? Do you see this as change?
No, I don't think any American sees this as change. This is more like back to the future, because we're going for all the retreads back from the Clinton years. They're all being paraded again in front of the American people. So we aren't seeing change. We're seeing more of the same. Yeah,
you know, now we also have Greg Craig. He's back in the scene here. And, of course, he was the attorney for John Hinckley, the guy that shot President Reagan. He was also the guy that was, you know, basically working and Elian Gonzalez for Fidel Castro. He worked with groups tied to the Sandinistas. But look at Eric Holder, involved in the seizure of Elian Gonzalez and the return to Cuba, involved in the Rich pardon. You know, Michelle, I'm reading this. They don't care, meaning the Democrats in the Obama campaign. They don't care because they know they got the votes to get these guys cleared.
The main thing is, Sean, what will the American people care? And I think the American people will care. They put a lot of hope and a lot of trust in Barack Obama as the president-elect. And they're going to look very closely at who his appointees are. To choose someone like Eric Holder, who is responsible not just for the Mark Rich pardon, but remember, that was a Christmas tree that year, and President Clinton had given more pardons than I think any other previous president. So I think all of these individuals will be vetted by the American people, and they'll be the ones ultimately that count with their opinion.
What do you make of, he defended the use of guns in the Elian Gonzalez case, the use of guns. When they seized this kid, you know, out of his home that one night, if you recall, he also was responsible, played a pretty major role in the granting of clemency to 16 members of the FALN. And I'm wondering, do you think the American people are now going to take notice, since almost every appointment, Podesta and Rahm Emanuel, Rambo, and Hillary Clinton, and all these other guys, do you think they'll take notice of this, and do you think it'll matter?
They will take notice of it because shows like yours are bringing these facts up to the fore. This won't get swept under the rug because, remember, these first appointments from the Obama administration are the critical appointments because they say a lot about Barack Obama. That's really what's called into question, what this says about the values that the president-elect holds.
All right, let me ask about it. Here you are in Minnesota. We've got a Senate race, 206 votes. It was certified, as I understand it, today. Yes. Al Franken tried
215. Today it was certified at 215 votes.
250. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. They actually gave Norm Coleman a couple of votes. I thought they only went to Franken.
Hey, every vote counts right now. So
all right, 215. The Franken camp wanted to sue. It seems like he wants to get this by litigation. He's got Al Gore coming in there. He's got a battery of attorneys. He's trying to act as though he's senator and going to Washington. Do you suspect that there might be some funny business going on, and do you think this recount is going to confirm these results?
Well, what we know is that yesterday Al Franken filed a lawsuit, and it's to force the state canvassing board to add in rejected absentee ballots and rejected provisional ballots. So these were objective people who weighed in, who said these ballots aren't good, but in order to be able to get over the top, Al Franken wants to bring in rejected ballots. So in other words, Sean, he wants to stuff the ballot box with rejected ballots.
All right, he wanted to do that. We found, what, 30-some-odd ballots in a car, and then we didn't find them in the car, so there was some dispute over that. But more importantly, it seemed like every time this was before a recount even began, every county, these heavily Democratic counties, started to, oops, oh, we found 100 votes here. We found 300 votes here. Why do I suspect funny business, and do you suspect it's a potential?
Well, it's interesting, and I think it calls into question what the record keeping is and who's watching the books. Because two of these cases, one, Sean, that had 100 votes deducted from Coleman, added to Franken, those 100 votes came after business hours when no one was around. Another one had 17 votes coming out of a Democrat county, again, where it was after business hours where no one was around.
It's Hannity Colmes. Welcome to our show. First of all, good to see you. The 32 those votes have been discounted as in terms of they're legal. Everybody, even the lawyer for Coleman, agrees they're legal.
I said
if
that.
You're going to go there and steal 100 there, 17 here, they can do better than that. Steal 1,000. You know, do better than that.
But isn't it curious that all of these votes are for Franken?
No,
there
it's not. They found actually 9 votes today for Coleman, but they're not all for Franken.
That's on the actual recount. Where those were found,
there should
not
be a
in
recount.
Somebody's trunk of their car.
And, well, there was nothing found in the trunk of a car that was found to be untoward or inaccurate or not countable. So that's been discounted. So now let me go back to Holder for a second. Are you suggesting to me that he is not qualified to be the Attorney General of the United States, having served honorably as the Deputy Attorney General for Bill Clinton?
Well, Eric Holder himself admitted that he acted incorrectly with the Mark Rich situation. This is very significant, the pardon that Bill Clinton issued to Mark Rich. This is very significant. Eric Holder admits that he made an error in judgment. Barack Obama will look to Eric Holder for advice, and we've already seen the kind of advice that he's given to former President
Let's
Clinton.
see where to give you that. He's actually, what he said was, knowing everything he knows now, in retrospect, he wouldn't have done it. But should that one issue get in the way of him becoming Attorney General of the United States? Well,
that isn't the only issue. You heard Sean go through a number of different issues that Eric Holder was involved in. This is the #1 person in the country as the Attorney General. And again, it calls into question Barack Obama's judgment with who he's choosing for these very key top appointees.
Let me ask you very quickly. You've said you were concerned during the campaign that Obama had anti-American views, and you said the news media should do a penetrating expose and take a look at the views of the people in Congress and find out if they're pro-America or anti-America.
Actually, that's not what I said at all. Actually, that's not what I said. It's an urban legend that was created. That isn't what I said at all.
I have the tape on my website, Alan.com.
What I called on, Alan, was for the mainstream media to do their job. They failed to vet Barack Obama the way that they had John McCain, and that's what I was calling for.
Your exact words were, take a great look at the views of the people in Congress, find out are they pro-America or anti-America.
Well,
do you really want that kind of a witch hunt?
What I said is that I'm not qualified to say whether members' views are pro or anti-American. That's not my job to do that.
But you want it looked into by the media.
Needs to, no, that's not at all what I said. What I was talking about is the mainstream media doing their job.
The media should do a penetrating expose and take a look at the views of people in Congress, find out if they're anti-America or pro-America. That's what you said.
Well, and what I said is do your job. That's what it came down to.
All right, Congresswoman. Coming up, more on our breaking news report.